We say villain,
Yeah.
but maybe in their minds or in the supporters' minds, it might be, wow, strong man stood up to, a lying politician.
That's true. That's true.
He
plays hard and he works hard.
He plays hard, works hard, yeah. He can be... He can like listen to you and dance Taylor Swift and exchange friendship bracelets with you, but when it comes to work,
he shakes it all off.
Yeah, shakes it off.
Yeah,
and
takes off the friendship bracelet, puts on his tie.
Starts from a blank space, and then Before the next episode of the Yellow Butt podcast, here's a little message from Folklory. We all know that showing appreciation for the special people in your life is important. But when was the last time you gifted a loved one with something that left them speechless? So if there's an event coming up in April or May, like a birthday or anniversary of a BFF, sibling, partner or parent, we've got a perfect present, a Folklory. Each Folklory is an audio interview with someone that captures their favorite stories of, say, your dad. We then turn that into a studio-quality podcast that your dad can listen to whenever he wants. And we're sure he'll love it. And why? Because after doing hundreds of Folklories, we've gotten a bunch of wonderful reviews from our customers. Like Leon, whose mum called it the best gift she's ever received. The process is super easy. We do all interviews remotely at a time that works for you and can deliver their Folklory within a week. You can find out all the info you need at folklory.com, and you can also chat with us directly on WhatsApp at the link in the show notes. So check it out, because we'd love to help you create something special. And now, onto the podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old humor.
Good old humor, man.
Yeah.
So, Yala, I mean, it's been a while since we had like a very clear choice of topic for the podcast.
Blockbuster topic.
Blockbuster topic. When it came out yesterday, we were like, okay, we're going to talk about this tomorrow.
Yeah. No need to discuss, right?
No need to discuss.
Yeah.
Yeah, no need to discuss. And I mean, before we jump into that, like, how's the past few days been, man?
Yeah, it was generally just been feeling quite quiet and everything. Post Taylor Swift and all that, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's on a high.
High.
Just getting off the high. Then we're like, oh, are we going to host Commonwealth Games?
The future is bright. Yeah, that's right.
And then this happens.
Yeah, so I mean, it almost felt like we had a March holiday period. When was March holidays for students? For school?
Last week.
Last week. Yeah, so the whole of Singapore was on March holidays. Like today, this week, people get back to school.
Back to work.
Looks like we're back to
usual programming.
Back to usual programming.
Yeah. Back to usual programming.
Back to usual programming. And I guess it's so hot that let's not beat around the bush and jump into it. But before that, we do have one thing we always say. Yeah. And what is that, Terrence?
If you're new to this podcast, please follow, subscribe, like, share, do all the social media things that you need to do. But also possibly tell one friend or one person about this. I think the word of mouth always helps to get the word out about our podcast. Because actually what we're here to do, what's our raison d'etre, as they like to say.
What's that? What was that? What chim word is that?
It's like reason for existence.
Oh, yeah. What is the why lah? The why?
The why.
Just say the why lah.
Be a bit more classy, man. You're going to you're talking about stuff going on in courts, or you want to be a layman.
The raison what?
Raison d'etre.
Raison d'etre.
Yeah.
I would say it is just to kind of make sense of the news and offer maybe like different perspectives so that you can think about it more holistically.
Yeah. I always think also is to make, hopefully be more interesting at dinner conversations also.
Okay. That's the more actionable. The short term benefit.
Oh, you're thinking all high and mighty, all raison d'etre, and then I'm like, the guy who's like, just be more interesting at dinner.
Just dinner tonight. If you're going on a date or something, you just listen to us. 1 hour, you get the gist of it, and you're good to go. It would be great if you could tell one person. And if you want to work with us, you're an individual, a company, we have a spanking new website, ministryoffunny.com. You can reach out to us there. You'll end up in our inbox, and we can chat, man. Always willing to chat.
Yeah.
Sweet.
But let's not beat around the bush.
Yeah.
Let's jump right into this, man.
Yeah, man. So yesterday, 19th of March, I think news broke at about 10:45 a.m. And it was like news broke until like I can't remember which news website. It was at the top, like one of those banners, breaking. I think it was CNA or something.
Yeah.
Because Pritam Singh, leader of the opposition and Workers' Party chief, arrived at the state court. And like a couple of hours later, he was charged with lying to a committee of privileges over the Raeesah Khan case.
Yep.
And there were two charges under Section 31Q of the Parliament Privileges, Immunities and Powers Act, which he pleaded not guilty to. So, basically that provision states that it's an offense to willfully make a false answer to any question material to the subject of inquiry put during examination before Parliament or a committee, whether or not the person has been sworn or made an affirmation. And this is like arising from that 31-hour long Committee of Privileges inquiry that was held in December 2021.
Yeah.
Which we covered also. And we can go into the weeds of that, but basically Pritam Singh got two charges. Faisal Manap did not get any charges at all, but he was given an advisory because he refused to answer certain questions when being questioned by the Committee of Privileges.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot to go into, but like, when did you first hear about this, or like, what were your initial thoughts, initial reactions?
Same, breaking news, and quite from my understanding, the timing was quite uncanny, right? Because what I've been reading on the internet is that yesterday was also, I think, the deadline for Iswaran to be back in Singapore, so from his extended trip to Melbourne, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people, a bit like how people were tracking Taylor Swift's movements in the private jet. People have been following also because, there's a lot of chatters that Iswaran going to come back, and then he fell sick and then he needed to stay in Australia longer and all that.
Yeah.
So everyone's a bit skeptical, right? So didn't see much about it, but yeah, yesterday was supposed to be the day that Iswaran's supposed to be back in Singapore. I'm not sure if he is.
I think he is.
Oh, he is? How do you know?
Because it was announced in the news.
Oh, it was announced, okay.
Yeah, former Minister Iswaran returns to Singapore, surrenders passport.
Yeah.
This was published on 20th March, 9:35 a.m.
That's just literally this morning, lah.
So he came. It's in the news. He came back, and I think there was a Reddit post also that, like what you said, they were saying, is he back yet? Is he back yet? Right, is he back yet?
So there was already that buzz in the air, but then this Pritam Singh thing came out.
Yeah, but I mean, now, trust the online chatter to throw up a few gems. Some people pointed out that the Melbourne Grand Prix is this Saturday.
Oh, really?
Oh, so can you imagine Iswaran? He's like, oh, shit. Everybody knows what is my jam, but I had to come back, lah.
Yeah.
And then I also saw like people saying, Iswa ran. Yeah. Now Iswa's back. But yes, that was uncanny.
Yes.
It was uncanny because it just like brings up like PTSD of like the last time there were two things that happened on the PAP and WP front that were within hours of each other. That was when news broke that Leon Pereira and Nicole Seah from the WP had an extramarital affair.
Yep.
Along with Tan Chuan Jin and Cheng Li Hui of PAP. It was the same day.
Correct.
Right? So this one, call it coincidence, call it intentional. We won't know.
Yeah.
But it's uncanny.
It's uncanny.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, there's been a lot of discussion about what this means for Pritam, for WP. Everybody knows that we are gearing up for an election. So essentially,
but not linked. Not linked.
Not linked.
I think you are stating that these things are happening in parallel.
Yes, correct.
But not that they are related.
Not linked. Yes, I'm looking at you, the camera. Not linked at each other. It's just stuff that is happening. Right. There's no way to kind of like link the dots, but they're all happening.
Yeah.
And just to give like a recap of like the entire thing, basically in July, August, October in 2021, Raeesah Khan made a statement in Parliament, which I think 2 parliaments later she admitted to lying in Parliament. Then there was a committee of privileges that was summoned to do a formal inquiry. It was like 31 hours. It was all over the internet. And Raeesah Khan also stepped down. Then at the end of the committee of privileges, they referred the case to the public prosecutor, who then referred it to the police.
Yeah.
And they said, investigations will be focused on Pritam and Faisal Manap, not Sylvia Lim, because they were satisfied, and I say it in echoes because I think that was one of the conclusions from the report, that they were satisfied that the two of them, or like the WP, Pritam Singh, lied under testimony. So 2 years later, the results are out, and the public prosecutor, or the AGC has charged Pritam Singh, which he pleads not guilty for.
Yes. And Pritam Singh also posted a statement on Facebook where he would press on with his parliamentary duties and town council responsibilities until the full legal process is concluded. And but also the PAP also said it will not be seeking to get Pritam Singh suspended as an MP while these legal proceedings are pending, which was something that was debated about Iswaran, right? Whether Iswaran should be suspended until his legal process is due, right?
And I think around that specifically, even Leong Man Wai, and I don't know if Hazel Pua, but Leong Man Wai, like the statement from the PSP is that, because I think there were questions saying, if Iswaran was suspended, he was suspended, right? No,
he's not.
He was not suspended.
He was placed on leave of absence.
And he was not suspended by Parliament.
Yeah.
That was what PSP was filing a motion for, which got rejected.
Suspended as an MP, right?
So then there was some talk about whether they would, file another motion for Pritam to be suspended as an MP. The same thing, right? He's being charged, right?
Yeah.
But I think they differentiated between the fact that Iswaran was charged under investigation for corruption. And also his own party kind of placed him on a leave of absence.
Yeah.
Whereas for Pritam, he said very publicly that he's going to carry on with his duties.
Yeah.
And then, it was Grace Fu, who's the organizing secretary of the PAP, who said they're not going to push for him to be suspended.
Yeah.
So, certain other facts about the case, like I think for each offense, he could be fined up to 7,000 and jail up for 1 year.
Yep.
Right? So then, there's also talk that if he gets the maximum fine, will he be disqualified from, say, running in the election?
Yeah, because I think the threshold for a single offense, if you get sentenced up to or fined more than $10,000, you get disqualified from the election. Yeah. So this one is a bit of a grey area because each single offense maximum is $7,000, but if added together, it can be $14,000.
Yeah.
So it's still a bit of a grey area from what experts are saying.
Yeah, right? Because I mean, amongst those experts, I remember I think it was Eugene Tan and someone else, Prof. Chong from SUSS.
Yeah.
They were kind of differing. Is it the Constitution? You read it one way, it seems to imply that you cannot add up.
Yeah.
Is you can have like 7 offenses, max 2K fine, you still don't get suspended. Another one said that is open to interpretation.
Yeah.
And that threshold was actually increased just in 2022.
Yeah.
It used to be 2K,
Yeah, very, very small amount. Yeah.
So they jumped from 2K to 10K.
Inflation.
2K to 10K. That's a lot of inflation, man.
Yeah.
But so I think right now Pritam has asked for a month. And the next date for the next step is April 17th, because he's going to get his own legal counsel. And then we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So those are the facts.
Yeah.
But how do you feel, Terence? Inside, deep down in your heart?
I mean, but before jumping into what we feel, right?
Okay.
Wasn't there was quite a circus outside the courts, right?
Yeah.
Pritam Singh arrived.
Yeah.
I think there's been some memes on the internet.
I haven't seen the memes.
You haven't seen it?
No.
I'm not saying memes, but there were some photos of Pritam Singh helping a reporter
I
who fell to the ground. Pritam Singh stopped to help him up. The other one was also, I think a reporter asked him, what are you doing in the state courts?
Yeah.
And he sort of just like smiled back at her and like, what do you think people come to the state courts for?
No, why do you normally come to the state courts?
Why do you normally come to the state courts? Yeah. So, I mean, I think he was just pointing out that it's kind of obvious, right?
And then after the reporter fell, he said, okay, I'll stop, you take pictures and all that, and then go. So it's like charming, charming. Came alone without representative. And this was something we were talking about over lunch, right?
Yeah. He looked, he looked vulnerable, right?
Vulnerable.
Tired and vulnerable. I say that because like he came, collar open, wearing a suit, but the shirt collar was open and flayed open and everything. Was carrying a little laptop bag, a blue and white colorful laptop bag. And came alone, right?
Yeah.
At least arrived at court alone and everything.
Yeah.
So it didn't look like didn't look like he was like super like got his entourage and team with him. Sort of like how, in contrast, when you saw how Iswaran arrived at court, it was flanked by Davinder and associates.
Walking like almost like walking in step like that.
Yeah. Almost got this mafioso feel to it, right? And then, but not for Pritam. And then I found that quite like, because to me it was like the mainstream media, they were trying to get pictures of him, and a lot of times people judge you based on that picture of you outside the courts. Like they look at how guilty you are. Like a lot of people were analysing Iswaran's face and how he looked at the court. So I think people were doing the same here. And I mean, you open up some of the articles and you look at Pritam's face in the photos. It looks quite contemplative, pensive. Not really big smiles or anything, except the moment when the reporter asked him that question. But what do you think of Pritam's performance outside the court?
Performance. I mean, to me, it was, whether it's unconscious or strategic kind of thing. I think it's good that he didn't come with a posse.
Okay.
Because, how you say? Okay, so now we go into a bit of the feelings of this. Because, like right now, there's still a lot of unknowns, right? He pleaded not guilty, which means that this one, it could be a trial that could be stretched out, for months, given that this investigation took 2 years.
The experts say that it could be like 6 months.
Yeah, it could be 6 months. So I think so some even say, let's say it might even stretch on till after the election.
If the election happens, within this year or something.
Yeah, and all we know about the election is that we don't know the date. We know that Lawrence Wong said that he will take over before the next PAP annual gathering, which last year happened in November. So assume happens in November this year. And that's about it.
That's all we know. Yeah.
That's all we know. So when Pritam, just this whole thing, it looks like I think everything I found online, and granted online you might say is the vocal minority and all.
Yeah.
Like I don't sense a lot like, wow, this Pritam is terrible, like wow. It almost feels like he's being picked on. So
based on what you're reading of the tea leaves online.
Reading of the tea leaves. Then when I think about my own thing, is like, because I had to refresh my memory on like, okay, what the hell happened during the Committee of Privileges, and when you go back, right, basically the main thing that I took away, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that he is being charged for lying because there is more evidence on Raeesah Khan's claim that she was told one thing, which was to take it to the grave, than his defense for it. Because everything he said was like just verbal and there was nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So at the end of that, the Committee of Privileges, I think there were 6 reports, and everyone but one of the people on the Committee of Privileges was from PAP. And it was only the WP MP who said, he strongly disagrees with the findings. So it felt like he was very fervent towards that. Then when I tried to understand what was it so incriminating for Pritam, and basically Sylvia Lim's notes apparently was quite influential. But then when you Google up reports and all, on one hand the COP says Sylvia Lim's notes were very damaging to Pritam.
Yeah.
But Sylvia Lim herself came and said she disagrees with the COP's finding because her notes actually back Pritam's claim.
Yeah.
Then when I look at it, I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Then what is this lying thing being based on? Then I think, okay, it went to the public prosecutor, who should be neutral. It went to the police, should be neutral. That means they found enough evidence to press charges against Pritam, which we will only find out when the trial happens.
Yeah, so that's the thing. We don't, even as we talk here, we don't have the full picture of what evidence they have. Because remember, when the public prosecutor decides to go to court, right? Usually it means that they think that they have a strong case, right?
I assume so.
Yeah. So they think they do, but we don't know until we, hear about the evidence and all that. So maybe something else could have surfaced itself during the process of discovery, right? Like maybe there's some secret doodle that Sylvia Lim had
in the notes
that meant something else. And then they
sitting next to a grave or something like that, and then pointing or something like that.
Or maybe you know how in Hollywood you rip out one page, but then actually the indentation of your pencil marking below, then they shake.
Because even the COP itself, the report was more than 1,000 pages.
Yeah, a lot to dig.
There's a lot more than 1,000 pages, but
so we are right now we're just reading based off what was reported before, but maybe there is more stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I saw even Xia Xue in Singapore's #1 blogger, like back in the day, right? Even she also put out a post, or at least a story on Instagram asking, do you think Pritam Singh is guilty for lying and all that? But we really don't know. Everyone's speculating at this point, but only based on past information, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, one thing is definitely you have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, overall, like, you were assessing, gauging based on what you were reading online, the feelings of people online. But yourself, what were you feeling about the whole thing?
I think it felt like, like, you know what you're saying? There was a high of Taylor Swift. You know, talking about Singapore being a cultural entertainment sporting hub of the region. The future is bright.
Yeah.
And then this one was like, oh, fuck.
Back to normal.
There's something just a bit like, is this... I mean, like, there's so many issues our country is facing, right? But again, like, not saying that the election is going to be influenced by this and whatnot. In the lead up to the election, I would hope that what wins are the ideas, you know, the things, the actionable things that our country is going to take, and that it is a level playing field for ideas. I know politics is never a level playing field, but that's the hope, But then when this comes out, then I'm like, oh shit. This is definitely going to be something that's going to be brought up. And it just feels like, oh, fuck. Then I would imagine if this is brought up to kind of hammer, let's say WP, then it becomes like, oh, then PAP also doesn't have a clean slate. You know, there's been a lot of things that are happening over the past few years.
It's Warren and Friends.
Yeah, it's Warren and Friends. Then it becomes like, oh, shit, is that what the debate is going to be about?
Yeah.
So it just feels like, so that was on me.
Yeah. It's like, I'll admit it was a super downer for me. Because this past week, I've been listening to this podcast. I won't mention which one. But ultimately, it's a new podcast that's very fresh and everyone's listening to it. But if I can sum it up, one word is narcissist starts a podcast to complain about another narcissist, right?
Yeah.
And I listened to it and I was like, as someone who has worked with narcissists before and realized... Like,
not me.
Not you,
Can we just go on record? Can we just go on record that I know that narcissists... So can I hear it from your mouth, Terence?
Yes. Not you, Harish.
Okay.
There's spectrum. There's a spectrum to these things, and you're not that high on that end of that spectrum.
Thank you. Okay.
But I have worked with people with very, very strong narcissistic qualities, and painful, traumatic, and can be quite painful, cause PTSD for people and all. And then because of this whole thing surfacing up from 2021, the COP, they started showing the videos of the COP again. And, you know, whose face is there? Raeesah Khan. And I'm like, enough already. It's clear this person can't be trusted. You know, she lied and she's admitted to lying and everything. It's clear this person tells one story to one person and then to another. And I through the whole process, if anything, I just found her testimony completely cannot believe, right? And I know it's International Women's Month and all, but this is not the time to lean in and try and support her or what. It's very clear that she cooked up stories and things like that, right? So why are we giving so much credence and so much airtime to her again? It made me irritated, right? You know, just based off a lot of the stuff that we're reading out there, and then this happening and all. But yeah, so and then when you watch the COP video again, then you see who is the person who was doing the primary needling of Pritam Singh, asking the questions and everything, right? It was Tong himself.
Tong.
Edwin Swifty Tong himself.
Yeah.
And I was kind of sad because I think the last 1-2 months, I mean, he's done a lot to bring in Taylor Swift to Singapore and everything, right? And I think we talked about him having a victory lap. Wow, this is his moment to shine and everything. And honestly, you know, whatever you want to say, there was a lot of positive feelings about Edwin Tong, right, in the last couple of months. But now it's been brought back to, Edwin Tong, the guy at the COP who, you know, was questioning Pritam Singh again. Not the most positive associations, I would say, right?
Yeah.
That whole episode, and even harking back to 2021, which was a very painful, difficult year for a lot of people because of COVID and all as well, right? So it's quite sad in the sense that Edwin Tong here he was, you know, victory lap, Taylor Swift, all that, and then now it's just, you know, back to this thing again about the COP and him questioning Pritam Singh and all.
Yeah.
So yeah, just generally downer. I felt like and just even for an individual scale for each of these individuals, Just felt it brought them back to this place where everything just felt like, ugh, there's this like, ugh, feel to it. Like, you know what I
Hong
mean?
Tong slowly taking off the friendship bracelets.
Yeah.
She was like, my friendship phrase is over.
Yeah, it's done. Yeah.
But maybe we were just too much in a bubble these past few weeks. Maybe it was like, end of year, you go to a holiday, you go overseas holiday, you're like, wow, this is damn shook. And then you come back and it's just, back to life.
Yeah.
Maybe we were the naive ones, Terence.
Correct. Possibly.
Yeah.
But I would say, you look at what happened during Taylor Swift, there was a very concerted effort by not just Edwin Tong, a lot of politicians, Lawrence Wong, Ong Ye Kung, all that, to capitalize on Taylor Swift being here, to do things on social media that made them, what's the term? Ingratiated themselves to people on social media. Ong Ye Kung had made video remixes of Taylor Swift videos. Lawrence Wong did duets, right? He played the guitar for Taylor Swift songs and got people to sing with him. So you can tell people they were working on like improving the image of politicians, right? The last few months. But when this thing comes up again, it just all boils down to the politics. This is how politics is, right? And I'm not even making a judgment call about whether I thought Pritam Singh is guilty or what. At the end of the day, if anything that we have mentioned here before is that, if anything, it feels like Pritam's leadership or control of the messaging within Workers' Party seems to be quite weak, right? Or at least at certain moments, it just feels like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? There's a lot of different people saying different things, and like your volunteer cry and everything, and like what is going on? Like who's whipping the whip, so to speak?
Yeah.
That's the very least you could say about, if not saying that he lied, right? So yeah, I mean, nobody walks out of this looking better, in my opinion. Even the PAP MPs involved in the COP and all that. Yeah, and so it's just downer, I felt.
But when you say no one walks better, right? I think like what you said, right? Like this, we have seen this over the past few years also, where politics are less about the ideas or policies being put forward, but more about these sort of things.
Yeah.
And that's the way politics works, especially if you look at other countries. Yes, I think it's naive to think that politics will always be about the best ideas, right? But I think like we can't run away from the fact that the election is going to happen in the next year, right?
Yeah.
And whether it's intended or not, again, no assignment of intention to an action, it will have an impact on the WP.
For sure. Yeah.
For sure, right? Even at the very least, the undeniable thing is being charged and having to appear in court and build your case to kind of be like acquitted. It's going to take time and resources.
Yeah.
Right? From the leader of the opposition and the chief of the Workers' Party, it's going to take time from him. Right? And already, I think it's common knowledge that the resources for opposition parties are not as robust, right? So it's going to impact them in some way, which is sad,
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering whether this will almost make support for him even bolder, or whether it will have an impact. Because I think both 2015 and 2020 elections, there was a whole Aljunied running of the Aljunied GRC, AHTC or something, right?
Yeah.
That whole case was going on, but it didn't seem to impact them in terms of like the support for their constituency.
Yeah.
So I don't know about this. I don't know whether, I mean, just again, based on only on online chatter and my own sentiments, it doesn't feel like, wow, this guy is a definite villain already. So that's why it's just I think a reality check.
We're still playing in politics, right? It's this field of politics, and these things will happen, right?
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to end there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think this past maybe the first 3 months of this year. When was the Iswaran announcement?
Last month, right? Or the month prior. I think
the month prior. Yeah. So maybe March was the honeymoon period.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, Tay came, everything stopped.
Yeah.
Maybe they were even thinking of releasing the report earlier. Like, sorry.
Yeah, don't be a Debbie Downer.
Yeah,
right?
Tong Tong was like, guys, please, let me have this moment to shine.
Possibly.
Don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
But he's like, let me just fucking enjoy this.
Yeah.
Okay, you got your March holidays. I got my Tay concert. Then after that, okay, fine. I'll go back to being villain.
Yeah.
You never know.
You never know.
I wonder how he feels.
Yeah.
We
say villain.
Yeah.
But maybe in their minds or in the supporters' minds, it might be, wow, strong man stood up to, a lying politician.
That's true. He plays hard and he works hard.
He plays hard, works hard, yeah. He can be... He can like listen to you and dance Taylor Swift and exchange friendship bracelets with you, but when it comes to work,
he shakes it all off.
Yeah, shakes it off.
Yeah, and takes off the friendship bracelet. Puts on his tie.
Starts from a blank space, and then blank slate, blank space, whatever. Yeah, and then and gets to work now, right?
Yeah. So I mean, we don't know. Like for all we know, because I'm assuming that this trial, there will be people called up to testify, right? Witness. Yeah. Which means we might see Raeesah Khan again.
God, yeah.
We might see Sylvia Lim again.
Okay.
We might see Faisal Manap again.
Yeah.
But certain things that stood out is like, I mean, the one thing is Faisal Manap, who refused to answer, did not get any charges. So then, is it the message or the main takeaway that if you don't have a good answer, you just don't answer?
Blur.
You just act blur. That's that saying, right?
Blur, live long.
This is literally the real life example of act blur, live long.
Yeah. That's right.
Because I don't want to answer. And I remember watching it, it was very painful to watch. Like,
painful.
Just walao it. Just how is this guy like just answering that way?
Yeah.
But it worked out for him.
It worked out, right?
And then Sylvia Lim was not part of the investigation, even though I think it was a conclusion that she also lied. So the committee also found, this is a Straits Times report from 2022, the committee also found that Ms. Lim, together with Mr. Singh and Mr. Faisal, had lied under oath in their testimonies based on evidence it has available.
Yeah.
But she's not going to be charged.
Yeah.
So then it feels like, okay. And then Faisal Manap getting an advisory instead of charge. The defense was that Ms. Lim have each been somewhat helpful to the committee, albeit in a limited way. So because I think she volunteered her notes.
Yeah.
So it just feels like, this whole thing, it's like bringing up that whole episode, which was very sad for Singapore politics.
Yeah.
And now it is, coming back.
Do you remember why it was sad? Seen as very sad for Singapore politics?
I think it was just because we watched a lot of the Committee of Privileges, right? Be it on single speed, double speed, sometimes triple speed. It just felt like it was really trying to grasp for straws, certain points in time. At least it felt to me. Like they were asking certain things and then, brought up certain parts of like Raeesah Khan's own personal history, which is not nice to make public.
Yeah.
And it just felt like, wow, this one, all the guns are coming out.
I think also, firstly, Raeesah Khan was seen as like, young activist, joining opposition.
The hope for the new generation,
right? Alongside James and Nicosia and all.
Yeah.
And also exposed a lot of the infighting, or at least like the discontent within the opposition, within the Workers' Party.
Yeah.
Which is not nice to see when you kind of want to see like the opposition get the shit together also, right?
Yeah.
So I do concur that it just generally was quite a downer for everyone who observes politics in Singapore, right?
And also because I think up till that point the WP was doing quite well with their own image and but to show like the weakness within, that's not good, you know. And I think I do remember at that point even in time we also felt that it doesn't look good on Pritam.
It didn't,
certain things he said, certain things he told Raeesah Khan to the way to act and not being kind of decisive enough and almost giving her too much leeway, right?
Yeah.
Felt a bit like, why you do that?
And we felt, I think we also talked about where people online were lionizing Pritam Singh's performance. And we felt like a bit much, right, to really hold him up on pedestal during that period. Because it just, to me, it felt like a lot of they seem to be dancing around a certain answer, but not really answering to the point either, right?
Yeah, correct.
So that whole episode just mixed feelings about it, right, for everyone.
And then, but a lot has happened since then.
Yeah, this was pre-Tan Chuan Jin. All this happened pre-Tan Chuan Jin.
Yeah, correct. Pre-Tan Chuan Jin.
Pre-Ride-Out Road, pre-Tan Chuan Jin.
Yeah, because this was 2021, right?
Yeah.
Tan Chuan Jin and Ride-Out was last year. Yeah, so one thing that I did think of, which I was also toying with, which I also saw some people point out online, is that, okay, in this case, from my understanding, Raeesah Khan had most black and white evidence of her apparently being told to take it to the grave lah. Compared to whatever Pritam was saying about not telling her to do that.
Yeah.
Right? There was messages and apparently Sylvia Lim's notes. So he was almost kind of faulted for letting her make her own choice. And I think she said at one point that, Mr. Singh told her that, whatever you choose to do, I will not judge.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember
she interpreted it one way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it could be interpretable many ways, lah, right?
Yep.
But you almost feel like, hey, this kind of thing you cannot leave to chance, lah.
Yeah.
You cannot just offer them this advice, offer them this counsel, and just instead of being decisive, lah. But Pritam's defense was that, every MP should take responsibility for their own actions.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, he's being held responsible. So then I was thinking, in a little other kerfuffle that also had little elements of being counseled by your boss, the repercussions were a lot more different, lah. And more specifically, it was Tan Chuan Jin and Cheng Li Hui.
Yeah.
Where PM Lee himself came out and said he had been counseling them for 2 years. Or not for 2 years, like every Monday, Wednesday or something.
Yeah.
It was just over 2 years, lah. From the time he first heard about it, he counseled them, told them to break it off, and apparently he found out they were not, and then had to make it public, lah.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, how come he wasn't being held responsible for that? But then also, was what they were doing illegal?
Yeah. Affairs of the heart, bro.
Affairs of the heart.
Affairs of the heart. You got to get off your moral high horse.
Hey, I said I was contemplating this shit, okay? I do not have a final outcome one way or the other.
Yeah.
But it just felt like, in that case, affairs of the heart.
Yeah.
But there was also that stance with if you're being tempted by someone to sleep with them, who you really know you shouldn't be sleeping with them, is that a national defense risk, lah? Is that a risk to security that you think not only with your brain but with another body part?
Correct.
Are you a liability, lah?
Yeah.
So, but it can't be proven, lah.
Can't be proven. And I think that one, the national defense risk is a bit more of a leap, lah.
Yeah,
right?
it's a bit of a leap, lah.
Did this guy lie in front of the parliamentary committee, lah, right?
Yeah.
Those two. One is it's still affairs of the heart, gray area. I'm not defending how long it took to counsel him, right? But I'm just saying, very hard to say these are apple comparisons.
Yeah. And even some people would really point out, like, whatever he does in his private time, he's the best politician in terms of his intellect and all. Is that so wrong, right?
And if it helps him clear his mind,
he's damn stressed.
Or he ironed his PAP shirt. Wow, how to keep it so white.
Then he got all the energy to run,
very stressed,
from door to door.
Yeah.
Then he just maybe had a hot mic incident. Then he was like, "Fuck, man, I need to get something off my chest."
Yeah.
So it's debatable, right?
Yeah.
But like one thing that also occurred to me, which I read up and understood, was that if Pritam was lying, being charged for lying, how come nothing's happened to Raeesah Khan for lying? But it's because in Parliament they have...
She's being fined, all right?
She was fined, but...
She's fined, yeah.
But she can't be charged for lying in Parliament. Because there is
parliamentary privilege.
Parliamentary privilege.
Yes.
And it is... like under committee of privileges, that's when they can be held for lying.
Yeah. So parliamentary privilege is like, you can't be charged for something you say in Parliament. But if after that they convene a committee to ascertain whether you lied or whatever, then you lie to that committee. Then we got you.
Yeah. So this one safe space. But you lie there, you kena.
Yeah.
You kena. So then, just all these technicalities, lah. And then when I was reading like Grace Fu's statement, they were not charged. It almost held that like, we want them to do. We don't want to disrupt and all. And it just feels like, I guess because there's a lot of emotions at play.
Sure.
Right? And it almost feels like people are not going to be objective about this, of course.
Yeah.
People don't always vote objectively. But it's one of those things that you're like, this is another case of like the David versus Goliath.
Yeah. Correct. That's why.
Yeah, so that's why if Pritam came with his own posse, then he's less of a David.
Yeah. Correct.
Right. So, I mean, this is the reality, man.
But so... it's still very early days, right? And everything that we've been speaking about or been reading is still a lot of speculation also, right? And we kind of got to wait and see what comes out in court, which will take months, if anything. So until then, everyone's just listening and waiting for what's to come.
Yeah, and if the one takeaway is, if you don't know what the answer is, just shut up.
Yeah, act blur, live longer.
Act blur.
Yeah.
Be it in Parliament, in friendships, in relationships, at the NTUC checkout counter, you don't know, just keep quiet.
That's right, yeah.
Because that is the message.
Correct.
Just keep quiet.
Yeah.
and refused to answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, this will be a developing case. Sad day for Singapore.
Yep.
But, well,
but
we shall see.
Correct. But speaking of, developing case and grey areas and all that, right? Some people have been seeking for answers for very existential problems that they're facing in society, in Singapore society. And somehow this caught on social media, then mainstream media caught wind of it as well. What is this topic or debate that's been going on?
It was a Reddit post that was posted on the Ask Singapore subreddit 3 days ago, so 17th March. That was titled, "Is it me going crazy with a 44-hour work week in Singapore?" Bracket, semi-vent / questions. So basically, the Redditor went on to kind of say essentially that they just started working a full-time job, first proper job since the pandemic, and they're finding it a bit hard to struggle. To do it sustainably. Like, they wake up at 5:45 a.m., no time to eat breakfast, rush to work with public transport, to reach the office by 7:30 and there till 5 p.m. Then get caught in public transport to come back again. 45 minutes because of rush hour. By the time get home, eat dinner, it's like 6:30 p.m. And after that, they shower, do their chores, it's already 7 to 8 p.m. And that they barely have 1 to 2 hours to do anything, and that their eyes are too tired from staring at the computer all day. So then they talked about, how are they supposed to do anything or live this life for the next 40 years? That, the government keeps complaining about aging population and loneliness. So on top of this 44-hour work week, they need to take courses, they need to have a social life, they need to reproduce, and just finding it hard to live up to what she imagines to be the Singapore way of life. So it got, I think, 500 plus comments. A mixed bag of comments. Some saying, welcome to adulthood. Some saying, I feel you, I'm in the same situation. Some saying, hey, 44 hours a week for a fresh job is not that bad. And then Asia One, today picked up, wrote an article about it, which got reposted on Reddit. And some people were saying, wow, a Reddit post about an article based on a Reddit post. But that's the gist of it. And you said, you came across this post organically. Before we even decided to talk about
while lurking on Reddit.
While lurking on Reddit. And what stood out? Or what do you feel?
I mean, I think to point out that it was a post on Ask Singapore, right? So generally on Reddit, there are like a few Singapore related subreddits, right? There's the main Singapore one, which is a lot of news and all that. Ask Singapore is where they become a bit more. You can ask a lot of questions about Singapore, and sometimes those questions come from foreigners, even who are asking about life in Singapore and things like that. And in this case, it seems like it's just someone who maybe is very new to work culture in Singapore because they just graduated or whatnot, right? And then there's the slightly more, I would say not suitable for work, more edgy Singapore Raw, for example, where you hear a lot of quite extremist kind of like perspectives. But they also do talk about same topics here about do we overwork too much in Singapore and all. So I do say that I'm setting this context that I don't think this person is necessarily being a troll or anything, or just like angry with government or anything like that. I think what we're seeing here is a young person who is really maybe experiencing the transition from student life to work life. And even for ourselves back then, transitioning from student life to work life, there was a leap, right? And then I think a lot of people who are shitting on this person, you forget that sometimes, people are just young people these days, they look like they are very sociable and have a lot of friends on Instagram all the time, but a lot of times they are also alone in their little silos, right? Spending 9 hours a day on social media, not really meeting people outside of their work and all. So that's why they have to come to places like Reddit and ask, literally ask, like how to cope in Singapore. So all I'm saying that is that, just a little bit of compassion, I think, is good when addressing this topic, right? As opposed to giving the straight answer that, you must be a strawberry to be saying these kind of things. But that's just setting the context for what it is. But for you, like, how do you come across it, and what are your immediate thoughts about it?
But you never answer what your immediate thoughts are. You just painted this picture that you are Mr. Compassion.
I just painted, I'm saying that this is a legitimate question from somebody who is asking about how to cope with with the rigors of everyday life in Singapore, right?
Yeah.
So it made me want to go back and think a little bit, okay, how was it for me? And I'll admit that transition wasn't immediate. It wasn't like I got out of school and I was like, okay, I'm a professional. I know how to work with teams in the office environment, all that. Took me some time to get used to it also lah.
Yeah.
And I think this person is in that phase, and that's why it seems like such a struggle lah.
Yeah. So I mean, when I saw this, I was like, same thing. It also made me think of like the jump. And I remember I hated the working life when I first started lah.
Yeah.
Granted, I was bonded to the company.
Correct.
Everyone was nice, but it's just suddenly, you have to be at the office at a certain time.
Then you cannot. I know you had a story where you brought a banana to a meeting and you got
scolded. Then my earring, I was told to take it off.
Take off your earring.
Then I was like, oh shit. I mean, it was a big MNC lah, right? And but it was almost like oh shit. I guess maybe back then it was a bit clearer what working life is.
Yeah. It's clearer. Oh, okay.
Why in a sense, is office like this whole concept of nomadic, digital nomad, the remote work from home. It was like, wow, fuck, you start work, you go to office. And I think, I think what made it maybe easier back then to stomach was almost like, okay, the alternatives, this is just part of the process. So like you also, I had a visceral reaction first.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, like just know lah. What you're describing, the fact that you can get back at 6:30 p.m. after dinner, I would imagine that's less common than most lah, right? And
but the day starts very early though.
Very early.
Yeah.
But then I also thought, like, you did say that your pay is mid, and you did say it's a cushy job lah.
Yeah.
So then, to me, it's like, okay, they didn't detail too much about their own situation, but it felt like, okay, there's no obligation that's forcing you to work in this job. You can get something that's closer.
Correct.
You can accept a lower pay to do something. Because as you get older, life doesn't get easier, right? And you have to make these choices. But then, of course, stepping back and like pulling back that immediate thing, I was thinking like, I think right now, maybe there's an unrealistic expectation of work. Because everyone's on social media, you see people, oh, I'm on a farm, feeding my goat, and then while also replying emails.
Yeah.
I'm like, first of all, social media, it only shows a sliver, right? Yeah. And there was a lot of extrapolation, like, if they literally say, how am I supposed to get anything done or live this way for the next 40 years of my life? This doesn't have to be the next 40 years of your life.
Yeah.
And if you assume that this is going to be the next 40 years of your life, the one thing about life as you get older, you realize, hey, shit, like when you have more experience and all, there are ways to kind of build a life if you can that you do love lah.
Yeah.
So I felt this one was like, okay, it's definitely an emotional response, but it's also, I think the disconnect between expectation versus reality is getting a lot wider than it was last time.
Yeah, I think it's a good point about that nowadays options there are a lot more different options right? Working from home, digital nomad lifestyle, that kind of thing. Or if you want to go to a startup and work and sleep in the office, also you can choose to do that, right?
Yeah, or travel a lot,
travel a lot. Yeah. So people have, because of COVID and everything, people have seen this. So the more traditional style of coming to an office 8 hours a day, all that, it does seem like a much less attractive option compared to what's out there, lah. But that's when they say comparison is a thief of joy, lah, right? Last time we didn't have as much to compare. Now people on social media, they see how influencers are living. You be a YouTuber, you can travel around the world, make videos for a living, and then they're like, oh wow, there's an actual profession that they can think about. So maybe for older folks, even ourselves, right, it seems like, what is this young person so frustrated about? But there's a lot more that they compare to what their peers are doing, or that probably make them quite disillusioned with a regular 9-to-5 job, right? And even for me, it was the transition from student life to working life. Even though I was like, I knew exactly, like I studied finance and I was going to work in finance and all that kind of thing. Even then, there were teething things about work that I was trying to understand, like how to always you always have to appear professional at work, right? Appearance wise, or not being late. My bad doesn't cut it in the corporate world and all that, right? Or even just like having to bring a notebook around, take notes of everything that you discuss in meetings, right? Take minutes. When you're a student, you don't care about these things, right? When you're a student, you're
sleep,
like, whatever,
go to class,
just sleep in,
and all.
walk in late. I'll just ace the exam later or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very different kind of level of responsibility that comes with being paid to do something, right? So I see this young person as I would feel almost that they are struggling more with that transition, right? That transition of just adhering to adult life, as opposed to it's as in I'm saying it's not a uniquely Singapore thing.
Yeah.
Like I don't think like whether you choose to work in the US or Australia or anything like that you would feel necessarily different when transitioning from being a student to working life.
Yeah, literally last October, there was a video of a US fresh grad who on TikTok, they went viral because literally it was, how do you have time for your life? A fresh graduate's run about 9 to 5 jobs resonate with netizens.
Yeah.
So the same thing happened in the US. So I think what you said is very true. And it's a global thing. It's not just a Singapore thing. So for people just asking this person to shut up, I mean, the sad thing is they did update the comments saying, honestly, these comments making me more depressed. Because you can imagine a lot of people saying, hey, shut the hell up. Which is also... Okay, like comments can always be very like soulless, right? Correct, and you can have a visceral reaction to this, but the reality is, and this was speaking from personal experience also, right?
Yeah.
Like, before I met my wife, I was on every fucking dating app, right? And I do remember I would go on dates and think like, how was the date? You know what? Wasn't it good? I'm just going to get back on the apps and swipe. Then when I look at my mom and her generation, they were arranged marriage.
Yeah.
Meet once before the wedding, marry, but for them, divorce and like the perfect partner did not even exist, and somehow they made it work. So like the moment you have choices and the moment you can compare, it's not good, right? It's not good, and it really screws up your how you say benchmark for what a good date is, right? So I can imagine for a job where there's so much talk about be your own boss, like if it's a toxic this, cut it out. Yeah, I think it's almost sometimes over glamorized how easy it is to find a job that you like. Anyone who's doing what they love, there's probably a lot that they sacrificed. Right. So in this case, it's like, reality bites, man. Yeah.
But that all said, right? Do you think there is... I know we said that it's not a uniquely Singapore thing. But are there things about Singapore work culture that you feel like maybe contribute to this feeling of isolation and being overworked and overtired and all?
That's a good point, because I actually think, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
There are certain things about Singapore, the culture.
Like what?
I mean, I think there have been many studies that show that Singapore, we work the most and sleep the less. Right? And I don't know how it was, but I remember last time when I was working, especially in the bigger companies, if you leave early, even if you've done your work, it's frowned upon. You need to kind of show face. And all that kind of stuff. And I think Singapore's productivity metric is also not that high. Which means we are at work but not the most productive. So then, because just this morning I was like talking to my wife about this, and there are other first world countries that are trialing the 4-day work week. And then we were like, oh, is this something that Singapore can even try? And I don't know.
I mean, I agree Like there are the FaceTime that's what they used to call it, right? And having worked in the US for a bit and worked in Singapore in the corporate world for a bit also, I did feel like in Singapore, in the US, even if you're like working crazy hours and you're very busy, all that, but if you state that I got this family thing that I really need to get away for and everything like that, even as a junior employee back where I was, all that, there was a lot more understanding and respect that, okay, your family is important, your family time, your own personal time is important, right? And you go deal with that. Whereas in Singapore, it's almost like maybe the bosses might be open to it, but generally the culture is like, don't talk about your personal stuff, don't bring your don't let your personal stuff get in the way of your work and all that, right? And people seemed to be much less like open about sharing about, oh, okay, I need to take time off because of this and that, right? And I'm it's not an institutional thing, but I think it's more like literally a culture thing, right? Where people frown upon like their colleagues taking time off and things like that sometimes. So I don't know whether it's improved in more recent times, in more recent years, from what when you talk to your friends who are deep in the corporate trenches, right? Do you think it's any better now than before?
Hard to say because like my peers right now are all older with a bit more work experience. Sometimes they also tell me they don't know how they got this job where they just it's so comfy. You can go for long lunch, But it might just be that their role is a lot more like they have so much expertise, and if it's about partnerships, you meet one partner, you meet two partners, and you're doing what you need to do, you're delivering what you need to do, but it's not so much of the grind. But then it comes to something a bit more existential. I think one thing that drives people or kind of forces people in Singapore to not be willing to, maybe I won't take this high paying job and I do something I really love, It's just the pressures of living in Singapore. And like from talking to guests we've had on the podcast, politicians, listening to trends of what Singapore is becoming, it almost feels like the simple life. You see on TikTok, people like a a barista, and still enjoying a comfortable life in some remote part of like a bigger country. I think that sort of thing, I don't know whether it's going to be possible in the Singapore of the future. Whether the 4-day work week, even though there's studies that show there's increased productivity and all, everything about Singapore, every message is like, I think even Shanmugam said it on our podcast. If you are not willing to be competitive, your job will be taken by someone else. Right? So with all that messaging, how are you going to lead a simple life? How are you going to give up something that pays you a bit more for something that pays you a bit less that you might actually like? Because there's all this other pressure. And somehow you must like make love and make babies.
Yeah.
So then it becomes like, that might just be the Singapore of the future.
It might be, yeah. But I would say that there is more, like a little bit more messaging and more talk about like hard work, right? Like there are people who, I mean, like you, I have friends who, started out corporate world, had big ambitions of, the corner office at the top floor of some building and all that. And slowly over the years, they evolve, right? And they have families or relationships, and then they realize like, hey, that life is not something that I want at my age. And they learn to let go of those lofty ambitions.
How I was desiring corner office?
Huh?
How I was desiring corner office?
Because you're narcissist, you obviously you want that.
I mean, I will refute the statement about being a narcissist, but I won't refute the statement that I was like, I'm going to work my way up the corporate ladder. Or at least have an impact. Have an impact.
And same for me as well, right? Work corporate, and then figure things out, and then but along the way, make it big and all that. But yeah, over time, your priorities also change. And I think like this young person here is just maybe in that mentality that like, if I don't, rise through the ranks and, keep up with my peers and all that, I'll be seen as a loser. And that's why there's this pressure to like not leave the job, right? That was cushy, pays decent and all that kind of thing. When maybe all they really need is to find something that really suits what they want more, suits their lifestyle and their choice. They want more headspace, more time to do things that they enjoy. Then they need to find a job that allows them to do that, as opposed to staying in it because of the pay or because my friends are in the space, that kind of thing. And not trying to. I think very hard for us to just tell the person advice like that because it comes with life experience or so, right? But I guess what was interesting, because I think there are people who say they listen to a podcast and there's little nuggets about life and all that they pick up along the way. So I think even our own experience of like, being in corporate world, leaving to pursue passion, and then after that having a lot of ups and downs, running our own business on it. I think there's a lot that we can also share with people about the experience.
Yeah, because I mean like what you said, right? If they choose to do something with a less cushy pay but something that they really love, then it might be the other trap at the other extreme. Thinking that if you're doing something that you love,
you're going
to love every day. And that fucking saying, if you find something you love, you'll never work a day in your life, is the dumbest ass, stupid ass shit. And if you follow your passion, money will come and fuck all that. Because that also sets up unrealistic expectations. Like if you want to do your own thing, if you want to cover your own niche, it's damn hard. It is damn hard, and it's not. We are still kind of figuring stuff out every day. And there is the other trap.
It's a different kind of stress. Right?
It's a different kind of stress.
You work for someone, you're a cog in a larger machine. So yes, it's stressful, you're grinded every day, but it's it stops when when you leave that machine, right?
And every
Stops
month,
every day,
the same
right?
day of the month, you get like money in your account.
Regardless of how good or bad the week was.
That's right.
As an entrepreneur or running your own business or freelancer or what, it's like you're constantly, the stress comes from like, okay, how are we going to make that day when we can pay people, pay ourselves, everything? How do you make that happen, right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of stress that you feel every day. It's like you have to think of how to keep the tap running, right? Yeah. So it's very different levels of stress. So last time it used to rile me up a lot, when my friends or whatever, like, especially when I just started, my own business or that, and then they would like, oh, so now you own time, own target, you can just plan your own schedule, free and easy, I'll get damn riled up because I'll be, in my mind, I was like, wow, you look down on me. But after a while, I'm like, okay, there's stress from running your own business or that. So if I can take my time to, do something else that I want to do during the day, because I'm able to control my schedule better, then that's just comes with it, and that's a choice that I make. I'm stressed on other things. You are stressed on certain things that I'm not stressed about. I'm stressed about things that you will never have to be stressed about. So it's a trade-off that we choose.
Yeah. And I can't remember, I think it was Mark Manson, the guy who wrote, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yeah.
One of his things was, life is full of shit.
Yeah.
There's no life, like a life that is devoid of shit is not a life that is worth living.
Yeah.
It's just about picking which shit you are okay to clear up.
To deal with.
Yeah. So if you're expecting a shit-free life, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
But if you are okay with a life with some shit that you don't mind, then there'll be shit everywhere.
Correct.
Shit everywhere. Just what kind of shit you're okay to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good luck to this person who's dealing with this. You think it's a good thing that people can go on Reddit and ask and vent about these kind of things?
I think it's good. And I do think that these sort of questions, of course, with the downside that you put yourself out there, you need to realize that regardless of what you do, there'll be people who make you feel like shit.
Yeah.
It's whether you're okay to deal with that shit. But I think it is always worth asking, because for all we know, like I know sometimes I'm also like, okay, we went through that.
Yeah.
So that's the way. You start your first job, you work your ass off and you work up. But that might not have to be the way.
Last time the army, my time,
correct.
My time, that kind of thing.
Last time we never get 7 hours of sleep. You get 7 hours, you shut up.
Yeah.
But I think it's always important to also keep asking and reminding ourselves, is this really the way that is required? Because if we can evolve, I remember, I think we have spoken about this before, when we first started working, Saturday half days were a thing. Right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, boom, it became 5-day work week.
Yeah.
But if you stuck to that thing, last time was, of course, we work half day on Saturday. Why change it? No, but you change it is a huge thing.
Correct, yeah.
So, it's worth talking about.
Evolves, right?
It evolves, man.
Yeah. This concept of 9 to 5 work in an office or that, it's also, in human history, it's a very, very new thing, right? In all human history. Most of our human history, we've actually been hunter-gatherers, right? Even agriculture is a relatively new invention. And don't even say about working in an office 9 to 5. It's completely fresh in the larger scheme of things. So we're still figuring things out along the way.
And 9 to 5 also came about because of the Industrial Revolution, I think. Right, in the region. So by being a digital nomad, you're almost going back to the roots of what it means to be human.
Hunter-gatherer. Digital hunter-gatherer.
Now I just hunt for lattes and flat white. And then I go there, there's my watering hole. And then I find someone to mate with. And then get married and make my babies.
Yeah, correct.
That's the modern day hunter-gatherer.
Correct, yeah.
Whew. Yeah. So who knows? Have we found a perfect system? No. But I think us, Singapore, is still worthwhile asking these questions. But just bear in mind that people will shit on everything you say.
Yeah. But speaking of people shitting on everything you say,
yes,
what is your one Shiok comment of this last few days?
My one Shiok comment. Wait, do you have it?
You gotta pull it up.
Oh shit! Whoa.
Oh.
Yeah.
I heard a Josephine Teo's voice.
Yeah. So someone. Okay. Then I go.
Sure.
Someone posted on our Yalla, but another post that has gotten 80 comments by apprehensive_Neil971 was just a clip from a recent new podcast with Xiaxue and Tian Hao, who were interviewing Jyotio, talking about psychological pay.
Yeah.
This concept of, not getting paid monetarily, but getting paid psychologically, because it satisfies your intellectual desire or something. So it was just something that got a lot of engagement, and people were talking about how many ministers are accepting psychological pay. And then it was not so much like a deep debate, but I just thought, wow, I love this kind of posts that it's almost like it's a joke that many people are enjoying. And I enjoy that. So shout out to accidental_nail971 for posting something that people seem to want to engage with.
Yeah.
Man. What about you?
Mine is on YouTube from our latest video talking about whether Singapore should host the Commonwealth Games. Chan-because, I guess that's the name. Chan-because says, it's hard to be profitable while hosting major competitions like the Commonwealth Games. Haha, side note, Singapore Smash is a table tennis event, not a badminton event. Because I think on our podcast we referenced it as a badminton event. That means, it's a table tennis event.
It's a table tennis
event. Yeah, Smash applies in both table tennis and badminton. So we got the spot completely wrong. But thank you for the clarification. That was important.
Smash. I bet the organizers also are getting this a lot.
I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
Smash.
Yeah. Table tennis smash. Yeah.
Table tennis smash.
Correct.
I guess table tennis smash makes sense.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Makes sense. Rather than whack.
Yeah, whack, not whack.
Killer. And what about your one Shiok Thing, man?
My one Shiok Thing is the second season of a very beloved Korean reality show that just came out again. Physical 100 season 2.
It's out already, is it?
Yes, it is out.
Shit.
And I didn't even watch the whole of season 1. I watched maybe the second half only, but I was quite hooked towards the end of it, But this one was like, I've watched one episode so far, and I never realized that, it'd be so fun to watch people exercise. But it really is. It's really quite compelling just watching people exercise and compete on exercising. So it's pretty fun. The first episode was pretty awesome.
So is it a weekly drop?
I think on Netflix they probably go by like batches. Right?
Batches.
So I've only seen one episode, and it's really pretty fun.
Last year you say you joined halfway.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I think my wife was already watching, so I was like, okay, let me just see. Oh, quite interesting. Then I knew the MMA fighter, I'm quite familiar with him, so I was like, I'll just watch.
So any celebrities in this one?
Apparently a lot. I think the first episode it was really a big mix of different types of people. I won't spoil it for anyone, but I think I guess one that was quite interesting is there was a ballerino, a male ballerino, yeah.
Oh
well.
Shit! Oh yeah.
Quite interesting.
It just dropped, is it?
I
saw
believe,
the teaser and all
it
that.
just dropped. Yeah, so I just watched the first episode.
Solid physical 100.
Yeah.
Wow, power. So you feel that's your workout, is it?
Yeah, I said that eat chips. Then I watch them, and I think the adrenaline burns some calories.
Your psychological workout, Psychological. You can get psychological pay. It's a psychological workout.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so mine is this thing that I chanced upon. I think some newsletter I subscribed to. They say you should check it out. It is the ultimate personal security checklist.
Yeah.
And it bills itself as your guide to securing your digital life and protecting your privacy. So I think this is a project by an MIT student. And essentially, right, you go to, actually don't quote me on that. It is done by an individual with a lot of help from other contributors. But basically, you go to the website, right?
Yeah.
There are a bunch of categories like authentication, web browsing, email messaging, and there are a total of 258 steps.
Yeah.
That it kind of guides you to take to protect your personal security online. So, like, let's say if I click on email, there are 21 steps. Have more than one email address. Consider using a different email address for security critical communications. Keep email address private. Keep your account secure. Disable automatic loading of remote content. Use plain text. Don't connect. So there's a checklist. You just go through. And there are 258 steps.
Okay.
And I thought, oh shit, like, they go through like human aspect also. Avoid social engineering security risks. Personal finance. Mobile devices. So if you've ever thought about like, maybe you can do a better job online, this checklist, I mean, it's almost so many that it's a bit overwhelming.
So you've done it already? Huh?
No, I haven't done.
Oh.
But just thinking, I just thought it was a cool project because it's kind of like a fun dashboard, and then as you go through, you check, and then they'll map your progress and all.
I see.
So interesting project so that's my one Shiok thing, man.
Cool,
man.
All right.
So thanks everyone for listening, and as always, if you enjoyed it, please just introduce us to someone who may not have heard of us. Follow us on social media, leave us a review on Spotify or Apple, and what else, Terence?
Check out ministryoffunny.com if you want to see everything that we do.
Right. And if you want to sign up for our email list so that we can email you whenever we have a new cool shit announcement.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Cool shit.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody.